Hey guys, thanks for joining me. Apologies for being a little bit closer than I usually am, but I did that because I wanted you to see what this foundation looks like. Actually, let me get my hair out of the way so that you can properly see my face. Because I'm talking about two foundations, and so I thought it would be nice if you could actually see what it looks like up close. So I've got my little notes here as well because I've been sort of testing this over the last week or two. The two that I'm testing are the Makeup Atelier Waterproof Foundation and the Makeup Forever HD High Definition Foundation. The reason that I'm reviewing both of these together is because I was going to just do a review on this one, but one of my viewers said she was considering buying this Makeup Forever HD, and I know a lot of people are kind of considering it, and there's a lot of talk about it on YouTube. So I thought, well, they're both kind of supposed to give a flawless finish and are long lasting, etc. So I thought I'd compare the two of them together and kind of review both of them. First of all, the Makeup Atelier Liquid Waterproof Foundation. I've wanted to try this for a long time. I wanted to buy it at IMATS, but I had spent all of my budget and I was kind of tired and in pain and I didn't want to stop and do swatches, etc. So it was difficult to decide on the colour of this. The colours are, there's 35 colours, but I feel like it's quite a complex colouring system. If you don't know what you're looking for, it's not explained that well. You just have to kind of look and go onto Google to look for swatches. That's what I did. The website in itself doesn't tell you an awful lot, the Makeup Atelier website. So the colour that I ordered was FLW2NB, but what actually arrived, because they in error, was FLW1NB. But me being me, I kind of looked at the bottle and thought, that doesn't look too bad, I'm just going to use this one, because I was kind of impatient to wait for the other one to arrive. So I used this, and this is okay for me when I don't have any fake tan on, but in general it's too light for me. But I have got that one on today, but I've really bronzed it up, so I've put a lot of kind of bronzer over the top of it because it's just too light, but you know, that's okay. The other one arrived later, but then I sent it back and it looked like it would be too dark, so this is definitely the lightest one, and the 1NB means natural beige, so that's how the colours work. I think you've got clear yellow, clear beige, natural beige, 1 and 2, etc. So it's a little bit difficult, like I said, to work out the colours, but yeah, this is the one I'm wearing today, FLW1NB. I'll put all details in the comments below anyway. The cost of this one is £22 from Makeup Atelier, but obviously you need to pay postage. It says that it is a long-lasting waterproof foundation that settles to a matte finish, fragrance-free and suitable for all types. I would say for all skin types. I would say that this is only suitable for oily combination skin. I would not say that this was suitable for all types, all skin types, because it is drying. When you put it on, you need to really buff it in quickly, and if you don't, it can look very cakey. And actually, if you put too much on, it can look cakey, but it's mostly if you don't blend it really quickly that it gets that kind of cakey look. I haven't yet found the best tool to use with it. I think probably the Beauty Blender, and I'm going to try using that with it next, but I have used my fingers and I have used a couple of different brushes, and I think probably the Beauty Blender would be the best. But the best brush I found was the Real Techniques buffing brush, and that seems to work for everything actually. I would compare this to the 17 Stay Time if you've tried that, and if you want a kind of cheaper alternative to one that is just going to stay on your face and not budge, then the 17 Stay Time, Boots 17 Stay Time, is a lot like this. So you put it on and you can feel it drying, and it instantly kind of sets to a really matte finish. Like it says, it does settle to a matte finish, no doubt about it. So much so that I've actually forgotten to put powder on a lot of time when I'm doing my makeup, and that's not me at all, because I have always liked that kind of finishing feeling of using powder and kind of setting everything with powder. But this is so matte that I often kind of look at my face and can't remember if I've put powder on, or I just completely forget to because I think I've already put powder on. So that's how matte it is. So again, if you don't like matte, it's not really for you. It lasts all day. I mean, it doesn't budge, which is why I think it's really important to get it kind of buffed in, have it cakey looking, because it doesn't move at all. It doesn't get any more cakey looking as the day goes on. But if you, especially on my nose, I found if I didn't get it properly buffed in, it just looked kind of patchy, and then it stayed looking like that all day long, and there was nothing you could do about it. I think this would be a great one for if you are like going to the beach or going swimming and you are desperate to have foundation on. I think this one would be the perfect one to not budge. This is probably the longest wearing foundation I have ever used, and it still looks the same kind of I put it on at 6 o'clock in the morning, it still looks the same at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. What I love about it is that it gives a flawless finish. Like I've put this on probably an hour or two ago. Let me just put the autofocus on so you can see a bit closer up again. So I just think it gives a lovely kind of flawless finish, and as you can see, it doesn't look cakey at all. I don't think anyway. You don't want to be quite that close to me. So I love that. I absolutely love that. What I don't like is that it really does feel like you've got makeup on. So if you don't like the feeling of having makeup on, if you're looking for something that has that kind of lightweight feel, then this is not the one for you. And the only way it does budge, and this does affect me, is if you are somebody that touches your face, or kind of puts your hand on your face like this. And I do a lot of that. And what I've noticed is sometimes, like the other day I had something on my head and I was doing this, and I actually rubbed some of it off, and then there was kind of a patch. So it is a real makeup, if that makes sense. The coverage on this is most definitely full. So that's the Makeup Atelier one. And then next is the Makeup Forever HD foundation. And this one is in N115, which I think is quite a light one. Again, it was difficult to know which colour to choose. I did do the patch tests. I bought this at IMATS, but I think I might go one colour darker next time and see how I get on with that. Maybe, I'm not 100% sure. Actually, what I didn't do was give you a little swatch. Let me give you a little swatch on my hand so you can see what the colour is before I've bronzed it up, because it is quite light compared to what you can see. That's the Makeup Atelier one in FLW1NB. So you can see it's quite light and how much I've had to bronze it up to make it kind of suit me. And then this one is the Makeup Forever HD in 115. This one is just, actually, it doesn't look far off it colour-wise, but this one has got a bit more of a pinky tone to it, which actually I don't like. I prefer yellow-toned foundations for me, just because I am pinky toned, so I like to kind of counteract that, if you like. So, talking about the Makeup Forever HD foundation, oops, this one, if you're going to buy it from the website, which I say the website, the only one that I can find you can buy it from in the UK is a Guru Makeup Emporium. I didn't talk about them in my online UK retailer video, but I have ordered from them before and had no problem at all. It arrived pretty quickly, the postage was reasonable, the packaging was okay, etc. It is £30.95 from them, so it's a lot more expensive than this. In the Makeup Atelier one you get 30ml, and this one you get 30ml as well. So they're the same size. This one's 22, this one is £30.95. So this one I would say feels nicer on the skin. This one is a liquid, but it feels soothing on the skin. So you put it on and it doesn't feel creamy, but it doesn't feel cakey at all. It doesn't feel like it's going to instantly set. You've got a bit more time to kind of buff it in. But it does set eventually. I would say that I did have to powder with this at the end. It's not one that you can miss the step of powder, I don't think, depending on the finish you're looking for, obviously. But that did not take away from the look of it. It still didn't make it look cakey at all. And that's what's the lovely thing about this, is you do get a beautiful finish to your skin without there being any cakiness at all. And it's more of a lightweight feel foundation than a makeup feel foundation. And what it says about it is that it's oil free, a soft focus effect, and an invisible look. It's medium to full buildable coverage. I've said it feels nicer on the skin, the same flawless look but less detectable than Atelier. Better with primer and expensive, this one. There's 24 colours in this, so again a lot of colours to choose from, so that's a really good a real good positive about it. But it's hard again because unless there's a shop you can go into and test the colours, it's difficult to know. But I think because this is such a popular foundation, you'll find a lot of swatches on Google. I always look on Google Images and just put in Makeup Forever HD swatches and put images, choose images instead of web, and you'll get a lot of swatches so you can decide which colour is for you. Whereas with this one, there's not a lot of information out there, not a lot of swatches, but for this one, you should be able to find the colour you're looking for. It is definitely medium to full coverage. With one layer of this, I would say that it's a medium coverage, but that seemed to be kind of enough for me. What I tended to do was put it all over and then maybe put a little bit more on my nose or a little bit more on my chin, or wherever I wanted a little bit more coverage, you can put it on and it doesn't go cakey at all. And yeah, definitely a really flawless finish, but without it feeling like you've got any makeup on. A real comfortable makeup, but with a beautiful look. The lasting power of this is pretty good, I have to say. It's great that it's oil-free. It doesn't feel like an oil-free foundation, but by sort of mid-afternoon, it's still looking pretty good. Not exactly as perfect as when I put it on in the morning. It doesn't hold as long as this. It certainly wouldn't be a water resistant or anything you could put on if you were sweating or if you were, you know, on the beach or swimming or anything like that. But just for every day, it did look pretty good at kind of mid-afternoon after putting it on very early morning. I'm not 100% sure why I didn't love this when I first got it, because I bought it and put it on. I wore it actually while I was on holiday in London a couple of times because I had just bought it, and I didn't love it. And I think what it was is, if I put foundation on when I'm not at work, I don't really pay much attention to it. That might sound a bit strange, but I think it's because when I'm at work, I've got my mirror by my desk and I have kind of the opportunity to check on my makeup and see how the foundation's sitting, and I'm constantly running to the loo at work because I drink a lot of water. I'm sitting at my desk drinking water. So again, I can see it in the mirror in the ladies. And when I'm not working and I'm, you know, in London, myself and my husband were just kind of wandering around London, then I'm not really paying attention to my makeup. I then tried it again and it was in my favourites, you may remember, a few months ago, because I did think, oh wow, actually this is a lovely foundation. So I have kind of grown to love it and realise how nice it is. And yeah, I think this is probably a repurchase for me. The only question mark for me is whether it's worth £30, because I think £30 plus postage is a lot to pay for a foundation. So what I'll probably do is I'll wear this on a daily basis, simply to, not to use it up, but I won't repurchase this because I don't necessarily want one that feels so heavy on my skin, because I worry that this will clog my pores. Now, I haven't broken out using either of these, but I do worry that this will make my pores a bit clogged with it being so thick. So I probably won't repurchase this, and I probably will just use it on a daily basis. And this one I will save for special occasions at the moment, and then once I have used it up, I'll make a decision as to whether I want to buy it again. What I would say with these is this one is much better with a primer, and I would not use it with an oil-free primer, which is most unusual for me. I'm not really a primer girl, but I've got into primers a little bit more in the last couple of months, and my very favourite primer is the Hourglass Mineral Veil Primer, because that one just seems to make any foundation last a lot longer and go on smoother, etc, etc. But I wouldn't use it for this, because this one is enough on its own to stick to your face and not move. So actually with this one I have been using my Dr. Jart Recover Primer, because that one is a little bit more, it's a little bit more silicone-y, but it just feels like it's got a little bit of moisture and doesn't make this feel so cakey. So that's the primer I've been using with that. I would use something that's maybe a little bit more like a luminous primer might be nice with this. I haven't got any luminous primers actually, because my skin is so greasy that I would normally need an oil-free primer. With this one, however, any primer I've tried underneath it looks nice. My Hourglass primer looks nice underneath it. The Dr. Jart primer looks nice underneath it. I've had a little sample of Smashbox primer, Photo Finish primer, and that looked nice underneath it. And it does, it's like if it's 98% flawless with this, it makes 100% flawless with the primer, but you don't necessarily need it with this. But I do think it helps with this just to make it feel not so sticky. The only thing I'm thinking is I didn't tell you guys my skin type. If you haven't, if you're not a regular watcher of my videos, I do have oily combination skin, but extremely oily. So combination in that oily in the T-zone, dry kind of on my cheeks area, and I take medication on and off for a hormone imbalance that makes my skin greasy. So at the moment, or oily, at the moment it's actually not that oily. So I would say in the last few weeks it has been probably more towards the normal side than extremely oily. I hope that makes sense. So I think that's everything. That's quite a long video just talking about foundations, I know, but hopefully that was all the information that you wanted about these foundations. If you were considering buying them, let me know if I haven't answered any questions. Stick them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. Do let me know how you've got on. If you have used either of these foundations and you love them, let me know how you've got on and which one's your favourite. I suspect that most people will have tried this and loved it, because this does seem to be a very, very popular one. And this bottle is actually a lot lighter weight than this one. They're both plastic bottles, but for some reason this one is very, very heavy, and I've not used that much that it's to do with what's inside it, but this one is very, very light and would be great to travel with. Something else maybe to think about as well. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you again soon.